We are so fortunate that we have the three of you, because you have actually been people who have led causes and movements successfully, and you're still doing it here in the state of Utah. So I want to go through a couple of items with you on these movements. We want to start with the Bears Ears in particular. This is one where Utahns are divided on what happens with that, which is interesting. On both sides of this one, 53%-ish are saying reduce, others are not. But the people are mobilizing now. Compliments of President Trump signing an executive order to look at the Monument Park designations over the past many years. Talk about what's happening there, Mara, on that issue specifically.
So first, you're right about the division, right? Every poll, we've had numbers of polls, and each one is within the margin of error. Both sides can claim they have the majority. Both sides can say they're in the minority as well. So the issue of Bears Ears, my point of view is the feds did it right. Obama came in, had a lengthy discussion, gave Congress a chance to act. Congress didn't act. Gave Congress another chance to act. Congress didn't act. Gave Congress another chance to act, didn't act. Used the local systems, used local supporters, got buy-in, came and had listening tours, did everything right. The process was sound, came up with a result that Obama felt comfortable recommending. So here's the beauty of the political system. He's not in office anymore. And this ability does have a carve out for the president. And now you see Trump. So for those supporters who worked really hard and worked really hard for 25 years to get this agenda passed, I think they have some righteous outrage in saying the process was really good and the outcome was good. But the reality is this is a politically driven system, and it's very vulnerable right now because we have a new president.
I think it's much ado about nothing. I think it's a sign that either says a national monument or it says no national monument. But if you really looked at the Bears Ears and you project it out 10 or 15 years from now, there's no oil and gas, even though the environmental groups keep saying there is as a point of leverage, but it's not true. The grazing that would take place is minimal and incremental. I think it's one of those things that came that both Bishop and Obama came very close to solving with the public lands inquiry that Bishop did, Congressman Bishop. And we could have had something a little bit smaller that would be undisputed now, could still be called a national monument. The governor, I think, would support that. I've had personal chats with him about that. So to me, it came a lot of it out of the anti-Trump fervor that occurred when Trump surprised everybody and won. And that anti-movement hit the environmental cause. We lost the outdoor industry because of it. And to me, if you look at the real heart of the issue, there's very little except the right of the Native Americans to get something they needed. And I think the Bears Ears Monument provides that, and it ought to be kept mostly intact because of it.
And it's interesting, the local voices were really the ones that we were most interested in hearing from, those local tribes and who actually do things on the land. I think this is an interesting executive order from the president. I am not a fan of executive order because usually it means it's an overreach or a real assertion of executive power. This particular executive order from President Trump just calls for a review of the Antiquities process. And to me, the most interesting part of the Antiquities Act is where it says that it will use the smallest amount of land possible to preserve the antiquity. And so back when they first started using the Antiquities Act, they were very small to just protect antiquities. They were really designed to be millions and millions of acres. So my hope is that it will actually lead to a better conversation. And part of the process that Mara was talking about, let's make sure we've got all the groups at the table together to have a real conversation and to really move it forward from there, because Utahns in particular love the land. They want to make sure it has good multiple use. We need to protect what should be protected. We're not looking at putting oil rigs under Delicate Arch, but let's make sure we're preserving the antiquities, that we're hearing those local voices who really use the land as well.
These are some very insightful comments. Thank you for giving us your wisdom on this very issue, because we're going to see a lot more of it. Thank you.